Meeting to order for the Planning and Zoning Commission for the Petersburg Borough on Tuesday, November 12th, 2013 at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Will you please call the roll?
Don't have it in front of me.
Right.
It's on the third page.
You know. Okay, I am here. Dave.
Here.
Yo. Ron.
Here.
Otis.
Here.
Dona's on the phone, right, Dona?
I'm here.
Cool.
Forgot Chris Clyde.
Who?
Chris Clyde.
Oh, he's not here. He's not on
He's
there.
on the phone.
He's on the phone as well. Okay, Chris.
Here.
And Susan is there.
Here.
Everybody's here.
Okay, we're all connected.
So
Fantastic.
where's Tyler's?
Take a look at the minutes in your packets of the previous meeting, which was of September 9th, 2013. Are there any corrections or additions?
I move we accept them the way they are.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the meetings from the previous meeting of September 9th, 2013. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. We're now to agenda item 3, amendment and approval of current agenda for today's meeting. Does anybody have any amendments, changes?
I move we approve the agenda. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. We now have number 4, public hearing. If anyone would like to just speak on matters?
No, we have no public hearing.
No public hearing, okay. On to number 5. Thanks, Val.
You're welcome.
Visitors' views related to agenda items. If you choose to speak, please state your name and the item that you are going to discuss.
Katrina Miller, 586 Minkoff Highway.
Can you guys hear her?
No.
Okay, a little bit louder.
Katrina Miller, 586 Midcoff Highway, and it
Got it.
is 13-004 and 13-003. You just wanted me to tell you that I was going to talk, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when those agendas come up.
Okay. Anyone else? I guess we're still setting up a little bit.
Well, we thought we'd do that so
Yeah.
people could hear better.
I'm not quite certain how this works. So if we do have comments in regard to related items on the agenda, you need to know now at this time that we wish to
Related to agenda items. And then we'll have discussion later on.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, any visitors' views? Number 6, unrelated to agenda items? It appears as we don't have any of those. 7, Joe,
7 what?
report of staff members.
Leo's not here.
And you don't have any reports?
I don't have any reports to, and I just kind of got thrown to the wolves here this morning when he called and said, "Oh, by the way." So here I am.
Well,
But there's
good.
really no reports.
All right, I'm glad you're here. Moving along, we're on agenda item 8, unfinished business. The first 8A is PZ number 13-006, consideration of a request from Tyler Reed and Reed Brothers, construction for a vacation of the easement between lots 2D and 2C on Government Lot 1, a consolidation of Lot 2C and Government Lot 1 into Lot 2R, and a minor subdivision of Lot 1 of the Hofstad subdivision into Lot 1A and 1B located at 353 Mitkoff Highway. Do we have any discussion?
Well,
I see what we're trying to do here, but I guess my question is, if this is zoned, Tyler, if your land is zoned residential, which I believe it is, we can't create a lot out of it.
Well, I believe that's why we're having the meeting here, is so I can get permission from the borough to grant them, the owner of lot 4, access.
Legal access.
I'm asking the borough to give me permission to subdivide into a narrow lot so they can have a permanent, right of way.
Right, right.
It's a private road.
What I'm getting at is there's two other ways to do that are still legal. One would be an easement, and the other would be a flag lot, and those would be both permissible in.
Well, I think that's their plan. You guys are gonna consolidate
Yeah.
lots, correct? And that would create a flag lot.
We wanted to create a flag lot. I think that's how we talked to Leo,
That was my understanding of.
how we should have went about it,
Right.
to a flag lot.
Excuse me. This is Donna. I have a question. Ron, you're calling it a flyby?
A flag lot.
Flag line, okay.
Flag lot.
It sounded funny, okay.
It just allows you to have substandard frontage.
It's an ingress egress easement.
Exactly.
Okay. And it's different than a regular easement?
Well, yeah, because a regular easement, the owner of is it lot 4, Sig?
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
The owner of the upper lot would not necessarily own the easement.
Okay. With the
He
flag
would
side.
have a right to use that property, but he wouldn't own it. With a flag lot, he would own the property as well as have use of it.
Okay, the feedback was making me sound differently. Okay, got it, thank you for clarifying.
And see, I think we went maybe one step short on the process as far as platting it. Like Sig was saying, their intentions are to create a flag lot. I think we probably should have done that with this process, created a flag lot in process, but we didn't go that far, so I believe it's
Could we do that now?
it's their right and whatever they want to do with the property, if you would allow subdivision.
Well, what I'm concerned about is there's a minimum road frontage of 80 feet to create a lot in an R1 subdivision, and then there's some other requirements too, that if the intent is to create a flag lot, can we just do that? It's all described here. And then it's legal.
I don't know. I really don't, Ron. I don't. That's a good question. I mean, it's all been surveyed and platted, and
Because I was under the impression that Leo thought this was a good idea, and
Yeah, Leo had us all lined out on how we were supposed to go about it. This
so,
is,
this is good, good for both parties. We came to an agreement.
Do you want me to call, see if we can take a call real quick and I can ask him what he thought, his thought process was?
This has been months in the making.
yeah.
Well, I could try to.
So you're saying rather than just create this subdivision now, create this as a flag lot, but it can't be a flag lot yet.
Why not?
Until it's part of property 4, can it be?
Yeah. I don't know why not. Well, I'm just afraid that we're creating an illegal lot. If we, I mean, this is,
Why can't we just call it a flag lot?
well, yeah, I mean, what I mean is, we could have a variance to create a substandard lot, but I don't see that,
You
no?
wouldn't want to do that, would you?
Ron, is, we're creating a private access lot, which, they need, we've had an easement for years and years on this, and,
now we've just come to an agreement, so we're gonna purchase the
so
land.
that they can own.
Right.
So that cuts me out of it, so then I have no responsibility, we don't have to carry each other on each other's insurance, and it just makes it easier for both parties, so, there's no way I can see this lot becoming obviously, I don't think SIG's intention is to sell this as a building lot, I mean, it's,
Right, no, I understand the intent, I understand what we're trying to do here. I'm just thinking, why don't we go ahead and make the whole step and then it's covered 100%, but
Then it's done, yeah.
Yeah, if that's what they wanna do, I mean, that's their call, not mine, as far as the flag lot situation goes for me.
Yeah, we would like to get it all done at once, but if we need to proceed ahead and
I guess I don't know the legal reasoning why it can't be done.
but I don't know. I thought you couldn't do it in a residential zone, but.
Well, create a
I may be
lot
wrong.
that's
Create a substandard lot.
well, you really can't. But I mean, your question is, can you create this as a flag lot right now? Is that what you're saying? That
Yeah.
can this be created, not necessarily as a subdivided lot, but as a flag lot? But can you create a flag lot that goes nowhere because it really isn't part of this property yet? Or is it?
If we say it is, then it is, isn't it? That's what we'd be doing by creating a flag lot.
Well, if you created a flag lot, it would just be one consolidated, government lot 4 would be part
Of the flag lot.
The subdivision of 1A and 1B. 1B would, liquidate into government lot 4. You would have to change
Correct.
the name of government lot 4. I mean, it could be government lot 4A, but it would be both of those lots in one. I mean, you can't just create the flag lot without, it would just be.
Having it be attached to something,
Yeah.
which it is attached to government lot 4, or we could say it's attached. Create this as a flag lot, as an attachment of government lot 4.
I don't know, it seems to me that that's the way we should do it, but I see the intent here, I see everybody agrees, so I really don't.
I agree with
I'm
Ron.
not trying to
Yeah.
raise objections, I'm
Yeah,
just,
looking at
I
the
understand.
up and everything, I agree.
well, yeah, I don't know, I mean, maybe Tyler should just get that done and then we can come back to this with Leo when Leo's back, so we get it right.
I mean, it's been ongoing for quite a while. It'd be nice to get
It'd be
ended.
nice to just get it kicked right now.
Yeah.
If we can.
okay, well, I'll just make a motion that we create a flag lot of, what are the,
Government lot 4.
government lot 4 and parcel number, I can't read that,
So you gotta make sure that's.
Yeah.
Lot 1B.
1B?
So if we do, just to make sure I'm clear here, if we do a flag lot on that, then that becomes a part of government lot 4. Is there any way that we can keep it separate from government lot 4 and have that lot separate? So we don't consolidate it into the one lot?
That's what I came here to do intentionally.
Well, I think,
Because we actually want to keep it separate from that other lot.
oh, you do want to, okay.
We do. But, I mean, it all goes together, but we want to keep it separate. It's easier.
Why?
Why?
Well, it still is a separate lot, though, right?
No, it's one lot.
With-
Problem is, I don't think we can do it, I don't think it's legal to do it in R1 zoning. But,
So, yeah, what is the
Let somebody else
definition of
talk.
flag lot? That's not in here.
Any other questions, discussions?
Well, I was, I guess I'm say, I guess, I was under the impression, going through this whole process with Richard and Katrina and everybody that, Leo brought it to my attention to bring it to the Borough Council to ask special permission to make a subpar lot, to provide them so they can own their own access. So Leo basically told me, that we're holding this meeting and it's on the agenda for me to ask special permission of the Borough Council to grant this lot, be passed as a subdivision, even if it is a narrow lot. He said, he informed me of that before, that it was narrower than it needed to be, but because it was an access and because all parties agreed that he didn't think that there would be a problem with the council, giving us special permission to subdivide. I was under the impression that's what we're doing here is us coming before you to ask special permission to subdivide for that reason. You know, so they have a private access and so, you know, we no longer need to get in each other's way, basically. We'll be doing both parties great favor to create a separate lot. And then whether or not, you know, they choose to make it a flag lot, that would be their business because they would then own that narrow strip of land. Like I said, will always be an access. It's not gonna be a,
You're not gonna be able to do anything with a 30-foot line.
you know, and they agree with that. It's a 30-foot piece of property with 43 feet of road frontage at the bottom. That's to be used as a private access to their pit. And whatever means they want, you know, ingress and egress, whatever you wanna call that. So, that was my understanding of the situation.
I got a question.
I was always under the impression of it too, but
It's an access issue.
So he's on the phone if he wants to ask anything. Do you need to make, how can you make sure?
I don't
Donna,
think it's
did you have a
ancestral.
comment?
I can look on the website.
Yes, thank you for giving the more detailed information about keeping it separate, but it also, I heard you say earlier the reason that you wanted to have the access
But we
out was so you wouldn't have to be on each other's insurance. And so I agree with Ron in the sense of making it a flag lot and attached, because if it's one piece for your insurance purposes, is what I'm understanding was one of your legitimate reasons of.
they'd have to apply for a plating variance,
That was
okay.
one of
Here, talk to Joe
several
really quick to make sure I understood
reasons,
that.
you know,
Get him to tell you that.
Like I was saying
Say
before,
what now?
this part of the property has been an easement for many years, and so that creates paperwork, that creates phone calls, that creates insurance, liability insurance, property.
Can they do that
Property
here?
taxes, this and that and the other thing, and it seems simpler for both parties if they own their
Okay.
own
But I can't
access,
tell by this is if they
and
are.
I don't have to be in their way anymore.
Okay, we're gonna figure out if, we think they're single family.
That's trying to fill in as yeah, we're trying to
They are
simplify the whole
up
situation.
above.
So I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible.
We appreciate that.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Tyler, is your lot, is it it's in the single family zone, correct?
I'm not sure.
See, that's the,
that's kind of what their problem is.
therein lies the question. Leo thought they were in the industrial zone.
I thought they were too.
We were
If
all
that's,
under the
if this
impression
is
that's
the,
last discussion.
you know,
Yeah, that it was industrial.
if that's indeed these lots here, if it's industrial, then it's not an issue. It's a total non-issue.
Right. That was my understanding, that it was an industrial lot, and that
Well,
we don't have to, or is it?
is it this one's right here? I can't, no, this is the Reed warehouse here. I guess he's not sure. Valerie went to look. Val just went downtown, or downstairs to see Amber, see if she'll get it too.
With Leo.
Okay.
Can we call it a road parcel
A road parcel?
rather than a lot?
Nice picture. No help he was. Yeah, oh yeah, here, this, right here's the map, this is the best map we got, Tyler. I don't know, here's the Alaska Marine Lines, am I not far enough out? No, I am far enough out.
No, you are.
I thought it was in here. How close from across from a AML are you? Because this is the warehouse.
This is it right here.
This one right here.
Yeah, your pen. Well, no, this is mine and Sam's both.
Yeah.
Sam's is that long, narrow, and then,
skinny one,
then the
right?
line comes straight down between them right there.
Yeah, I remember Sam's because we gave him a variance for his taxidermy shop, and it was zoned R1, and that's why he had
See, and
to
I
get a
think
variance.
you're on the outhill side
the
of,
outside.
yeah, so it is definitely single family. And that's why if, I don't know, whether he was confused or not, again, it was, in order to do that, you'd have to have a plating variance to make a substandard lot.
Well, what if we call it a road parcel? Now, that's allowed, and that just indicates it's a piece of property set aside for a future, for road development.
transportation purposes.
Mm-hmm.
For access in general.
I mean, we have that on plats in the city now. So I don't know if it's described in the code, but maybe we could
Yes,
do
I
that. I mean,
believe
that's what everybody wants to do here.
Yeah.
And I think that would be
I like the
legal.
title.
Do it.
Road access. Dave?
I'm confused, but for these guys' purposes, if it's
This one.
defined as a road parcel, does that mean it's open access? No.
Still
It's
private
private
property.
It's private property, so it's still a private road, okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't become open access until you develop it into a city-approved right-of-way.
I see, okay. So in other words, if we say this is gonna be a road parcel, that prevents somebody from these guys 10 years from now selling it as a house lot.
Right.
Yeah, but yet it's still.
It's still private.
It still gets done what both parties are trying to do.
Let's see here, with setbacks on a 30-foot wide lot, 10, you'd have a 10-foot wide house in the middle. So it'd be pretty narrow.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, I move we approve this subdivision calling lot number 1B a road parcel.
I second it.
I
Okay.
agree.
Wait, we haven't called for the vote yet, Dawn.
It's
Just agreed.
Okay, we have a motion and it's been seconded that we approve this request for the subdivision 1A, 1B to be called a road parcel. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right.
Now's your time.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Fantastic.
We have, now this, does this go on to the assembly, the borough council?
No,
Or is it
This is it.
that's
finished?
done.
Done. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
You
Thank
guys
for
made a
your
big
patience.
decision, and that's your decision.
Yeah, stand behind
Never
it.
know.
No, that's
Can't fall
done.
back on the council.
Okay.
We can't go back
I
now.
just
Okay.
finished. I have one question.
Yes.
Sorry to hold up the show
Hi,
for
Lynn.
everybody, but with this subdivision, now it's gonna be replatted. Do I or these guys have to do anything else with that, or is the borough responsible
Well, this-
for recording it as a new plat?
Good question. So-
Well, the city will record it.
The borough.
The borough,
Record it.
yeah. And it's, in fact, we should have a copy of it. You have to bring it in so we can get the signed
Yes, you have
copy.
a copy. I brought another copy just in case.
A Mylar copy?
The big version.
Yeah, we have a Mylar copy of it?
Yes.
Yeah, it just has to get,
And so that's out of our hands. The borough will take care of that.
yeah.
Okay. That's my question.
Great question. Find out. Okay, what happens to this decision now?
It gets recorded in the, or it gets
Well,
Ketchikan
it's on
record.
record. It's recorded here.
In the Ketchikan Recorder's District, so it's in our
Oh,
district,
good.
yes.
Good, all right. Is there any discussion on, any more discussion on 8A? Are we all clear about that? Okay, we'll go on to 8B, PZ 13-004, Aaron and Katrina Miller, conditional use permit. Okay, anyone like to speak of this? It's up, we granted it October 21st, 2011. And the request was for a variance, conditional use permit, sorry, to allow a net shed at 107 Arnes Heights Drive with specific conditions and limitations. And that was for 2 years. So it was up October 21st, last month. You are reapplying
Yeah, I'm actually reapplying for a zoning change.
for a zoning change. Okay. Do I have that?
No, you don't have.
Oh, okay. I just wondered if I missed something.
I wanted to talk to Lee, but he's not here. But I wrote a letter to reapply for a zoning change, and I haven't done the petition to get 51% of the landowners to sign it yet. So I'm still working on that. So I don't know if you want me to give this to you now, or do you want to wait, or?
Is it for just your lot or for both lots?
I'm just applying for my lot.
Oh, you,
Richard Burrell's applying for his lot.
okay. So we're applying for the lots individually. I think we would just accept now, according, I talked to Leo briefly about this. He says, he thought we were gonna come through with the request.
Yes.
Yeah, we found it.
Industrial, and lot 2D where it joins 2C is industrial.
What?
According to Susan.
That's where
Okay.
we started from, wasn't it?
That's according to Susan, and she just double, triple checked.
Okay, we finished
The
it.
part of 2D was not industrial, that's maybe where
I think so, yeah.
that's where it came.
Does the road right away or the road still,
Yeah, do we need to revisit that?
is it still applicable to the industrial lot? Well, what
I
you
believe
guys
so.
going?
If it were zoned industrial, then there's no setbacks, there's no requirements
Okay.
for road frontage as you would have with R1.
Well, either way, I guess,
Yeah.
you're fine.
Right.
Either way,
You
you're
guys
covered.
voted on it or
Yeah.
not, doesn't really matter.
I think she's on the wrong lot, saying that she was talking
It
2D.
simplifies
Talking about my
things.
phone
for you.
1A and 1B. Anyhow, it's done.
We're good, we're
It's
past.
done.
good, it's
Yeah.
actually simple.
Yes, it is. So, but on the, okay, let's get back on the rezoning.
Okay.
I guess as far as,
Rezoning, Aaron and Katrina.
and then
Miller.
it's a matter of scheduling a public hearing for the request
Okay,
and getting the check.
so once that's submitted, then we need to schedule a public hearing. And-
Yes.
All right. Usually don't.
That's
I'll
fine.
give this to you, Val, there's money involved.
Okay, I'll take it.
I'll take it. I figured she would.
Does it make it back?
Madam Chair, can I ask a question
Yes,
or a point of
Dave.
clarification? I guess at the meeting in September, we asked that they contact all the parties that would have an interest in this. And my understanding is you've written the letter, but you haven't actually contacted anybody, so you don't have any responses yet.
No, the only contact we've had was with Mark and Pat, and we have kind of come to an agreement, hopefully, that will, make them happy. It says in the letter. We're
Okay.
gonna have a 20-foot green belt on the Arness Heights Drive, and then we're gonna put on that 20-foot, we're gonna put up the fence, an 8-foot high wood fence. We're gonna have that on the front, and then on the lot that abuts Richard Burrell's, we'll have a fence that we'll share with them. And then on the other side, we'll have a fence. And, let's see, is there anything else? I think that's it.
And so everything is described what you're going to do in the letter?
Yeah,
And
and
then,
then we were gonna put it in a covenant to keep the fence and maintain the fence. An 8-foot high wooden fence.
and then, Madam Chair, what's the procedure then? So then we just schedule a public hearing, or do we wait until we get responses from all the property owners, or how do we deal with something like this?
That's a good question, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming
Well, I think the
Leo-
scheduling of the public hearing would cover getting all the neighbors notification of what's going on, I mean, that
If you're
would be.
accepting this as an application right now, you can schedule a public hearing for the next meeting, and we'll get letters out by the next meeting.
Okay,
So you
Yeah.
get- And, excuse me, so you guys will take care of contacting all the property owners that are on
Yeah.
record? Okay.
They'll give, it's within 600 feet and they're, I don't know,
600 feet radius.
yeah. So they will get their notification there of thing. I mean, most people in the area are aware, but not that there's gonna be a request for rezoning. And then, of course, rezoning goes to the Borough Assembly also.
Right.
It's just your recommendation, they're the ones that ultimately have to change the zoning.
I knew there was a recommendation involved.
Yeah.
Then we make a recommendation once we have a public hearing
Mhm.
to the Borough Assembly.
Could I ask that staff give us a copy of the letter as soon as possible, so we don't have to read it at the public hearing?
No.
I
It'll be sent
absolutely
out when we
agree.
notify all the, at least 16
Okay.
days before the next meeting.
Oh, okay, thanks.
All right, any other discussions or questions on 8B?
Get a copy today if you want.
That there's some action moving forward on the conditional use permit that was granted to Aaron and Katrina Miller 2 years ago?
No.
No questions, concerns, so we're assuming at the December meeting, we'll have a public hearing on this action. 10th of December? That's a great date. Too early for people to be out of town, right? Okay, we'll move on to 8C, PZ 13-003, Richard Burrell, a zoning violation, which we had discussed at the previous meeting. And I think there had been letters given and pictures taken. Leo, do you have that?
So that's the same thing. Richard's out for medical. He's out of town right now, so he can't be here. But he did a letter, and I'm gonna turn it in, and the $220, and he's asking for a zoning change too. And he said, in the event that the zoning change is granted, it has been agreed with Mr. Weaver to enter into a covenant restricting the use of the property. R&R will not place any asphalt or cement plants on this property. It will continue to be used only for the parking of our equipment, and we will construct an 8-foot fence on 2 sides and establish a green belt of 20 foot. We will plant trees to provide a barrier and improve the view for the residential property owners. That's kind of his plan. But there's a list of stuff in here.
And you're submitting that for
Yeah,
Richard Burrell? Okay,
Ma-
question, Dave?
Well, yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we table the discussion on the zoning violation pending Richard Burrell's application to rezone the property.
Okay, second?
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded that we postpone discussion on Richard Burrell's zoning violation until Richard can be here, present, and possibly.
Until after the public hearing.
No,
After the
after the public
public
hearing. We don't have to talk, if he gets the property rezoned, then it's a moot issue. And then, so we don't need to waste our time talking about that today.
And,
Okay.
and that was staff's desire too, if they
Right.
filled the application out, let the process go and then take it from there.
Take it from there. All right, it's, all those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
All right?
All right.
Donna?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. So we have that on public hearing for December 10th with the letters, and everybody will be contacted, and we will have letters.
Yep.
And the process will move forward.
Thank you.
Right.
You are welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming. Okay. Yeah. We appreciate you being here. New business then is 9A 13-310, review of an informational sign submitted by Petersburg Indian Association.
Is there anybody here from Petersburg Indian Association?
No one. Then
In
we'll
in that respect, we'd like to
postpone.
postpone it if you would, because I don't think,
Yeah.
because we were hoping somebody would be here and then to talk to Leo, and we thought somebody would be here, but nobody's here.
Yes, Dave.
If we're gonna review a sign, if they could, or informational sign, will you have, there wasn't anything in the packet describing what it was, or where it was, or
That's,
what it was gonna do?
or what is it? Until Susan mentioned it, I had no idea anything about it either, Dave, so.
So could you pass it
I
on?
will ask.
Could you pass it on to your fearless leader?
Right,
It'd be nice
fearless
to
leader.
have a
Some
little
information.
information about it.
Granted,
It's fun.
yes, I would, it would be nice.
Thank you.
I will do that.
It's gonna be like Golden Arches.
I really don't know what its intentions, whether it's gonna be like a, announcements or that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
or we will get more.
Lighted, how
And that's why I
high,
think why it would have
size.
been nice, if they were gonna come, they might have had a presentation or something, but
Okay.
Are
don't
we
know.
making a motion then?
Thank you, Joe.
Do we hear a motion to postpone this new business about Petersburg Indian Association information?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we postpone discussion of the informational sign by the Petersburg Indian Association. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank-
Those opposed?
All right.
Okay, the motion passes. Okay, we're on to page 2 of our agenda, item 9B, 012, acceptance of and scheduling of a public hearing for a request from Philip and Sandy Meeks for a variance of the front and side setback requirements to allow the construction of a carport 15 feet from the front property line and 10 feet from the side property line on tract B2 of the Lighthouse subdivision, parcel 1001872.03, located at 110 Somerset Lane, and attached we have that request, the size of the lot, 0.37 acres, and the reason. Did you all get a chance to look at that reasoning process? There's a letter from Phil and Sandy Meeks. Any discussion?
I just got a question. I don't remember, are these the same lot or are these separate lots? I don't know that that's even relevant. I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah, the map does
Here,
not
still
show.
got a map here.
Yeah, I'm
Do you
looking at
remember
that
that?
one. No, I don't.
I'm assuming theirs is B2, the 0.37 acres. That's their lot, but I don't know about tract A.
I think it's the same.
Same
lot.
one-
I think they
one
extend
big
across the road. The right of way.
What's the zoning?
It's probably rural residential.
Is it?
What is Somerset subdivision? Which is that?
It's up there by the Lighthouse Church. The,
No, this
Oh,
is
is it?
this is out the road, almost to Twin Creeks.
Well, is this Richard subdivision?
Yeah, Richard and Phil Meeks.
Okay. Well, this is one. Yeah, it'll be rural residential then. And these are
reason I thought-
these are one lots that go across the axis, uphill,
Reason I
downhill.
thought it was industrial, but
No.
No.
No, it's rural residential.
Yeah,
okay.
it's rural residential, and that's one thing is the bank here is they have kind of good.
I just flew in this.
This bank goes uphill pretty rapidly here.
Right. I move we accept and schedule public hearing for this request.
I second it.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved. We have a motion to schedule a public hearing for Philip and Sandra Meeks on their variance. And we need to all go out and take a look, myself particularly. Those in favor of scheduling a public hearing?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes for December 10th. Okay. Which now brings us to 9C, which will take some discussion. PZ 13-013, recommendation to Borough Assembly of preferred comprehensive plan process. And what we have is the city comprehensive plan of 2000. And then we have a draft here for discussion for a comprehensive plan update. And I'm not sure of the exact amount, maybe Liz, you know, of the state's funding of this comprehensive plan?
Well, it wasn't specifically money for a comprehensive plan, it's for planning for transition to borough.
Okay.
Got to speak up, Liz. They can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
You want to say your name and my first question?
Liz Cabrera.
There.
The money isn't specifically for comprehensive planning, and I think it was $600,000, but it's more money to transition to borough, and part of that is for planning as part of the transition process. So that's a long way of saying we don't really have a dollar figure attached to, as far as I know, attached to comprehensive plan.
Okay, so what we need to do as a planning commission is discuss this. We play an active role in recommendations on this, is my understanding, and having met with Leo and Liz and Susan Christensen and Stephen Giesbrecht. And
What's the last party?
Steve Giesbrecht, the city manager.
That's fine. You were cut off.
Sorry, I tend to do that. So we took a look at the current comprehensive plan, which is for the city of Petersburg and is pretty general. Then we met and we talked about being specific and making it a useful document that you can go back and actually check off goals and objectives that have been met. And there is no length attached just yet. We're really in the beginning planning stages. So what you have before you in the packet is what we're thinking of. And that should be, the first thing should be, it's a year 2000. It was passed in 1999. And it needs to be definitely updated. And it's an opportunity for all the borough residents to identify priorities and issues of concern. Besides identifying priorities for municipal land selection. And before you, and that's part A. Part B is a harbor master plan and rate, which was non-existent in the previous plan and needs to be, parties that met felt that that is very important to the infrastructure of Petersburg Borough. With a complete inventory, existing infrastructure, and identifying future needs with cost estimates included, and determining a rate structure needed to maintain the infrastructure. And this includes all harbors or dockings as, in the borough, which is pretty huge. Also, having an economic development action plan, that's pretty important, and that does fall under Liz Cabrera's umbrella of things to discuss, right?
Right.
Okay, we'll put it in that. So it's an undecided element only because there an economic plan?
There's like a page.
There's like a page.
Yeah.
Some things are addressed in the old comprehensive plan very, very skimpily, very shortened, with no objectives. And when you take a look at it, you'll see for yourself. So the comprehensive plan process, we are down here under fall 2013. We, as a body of the Planning Commission, are charged with the request of proposal to do an RFP and advertise for the updating of the comprehensive plan in discussion with Liz, the harbor, economic development, the harbor, and the borough manager, I guess is his name, all parties included, including planning and zoning. Then in the winter, it's been suggested that the borough actually have 2 representatives from the Borough Assembly to participate in this process with the Planning and Zoning Commission as we forge ahead with specifics. Then in the springtime, the consultant would meet with the Planning Commission, the Borough Assembly reps, and there would be dialogue and constant communication as to where this plan is going. Okay, that's page 1. Are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. You can read it in your spare time because it goes on to discuss the Petersburg Port and Harbor Department and all the things, the basic infrastructure of this community. And also, we have to decide about other things, cleaning stations, of course that would be under their jurisdiction. So we come down to the general project requirements. This is what's included, but we're not limiting it. Inventory existing infrastructure to include parking, uplands improvements, and State of Alaska-owned docks, floats within the Petersburg Borough, condition assessment of harbor infrastructure, forecast future facility needs, prioritize replacement upgrades and associated costs, moorage rate, and a master plan. That's still talking about the fishing industry here. In discussion, we talked about being very specific. We have a real opportunity here to, for impact for the community as a real guideline and not something to quote one of the representatives, that sits on the shelf for the next 10 to 15 years and is never open. So the first item addressed has been to contact leaders in the community to update their parts of the plan rather than have it rewritten and pay someone to rewrite those parts. Did they get this? Did they get a comprehensive plan review? Did Leo send that to you?
Can I say something?
Yes.
One thing that I hear where you're coming from, and I did read the comprehensive plan a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And since there's a whole new blood of people from Service Area 1 was basically involved in the last one, I really think there needs to be some input from the new borough people.
Absolutely.
And input, just like on the 2 representatives. How are they going to pick those? One of the suggestions that's been floating out there is one of the representatives should be from Service Area 1 and the other one should be from the outside of Service Area 1, so there's a balance with this new borough.
Mm-hmm. When the Borough Assembly chooses those representatives, that definitely needs to be in the discussion process at that time. There's new methods compared to the 1998-1999 way of doing things, where you have a lot of town hall meetings with a lot of vocalization on all party parts. Now you can do something online, survey with one of the ideas is a mind mixer, but you can have every participant in the entire borough do online surveys to put their input, as well as direct meetings.
And that would be used for the updating them?
The update part, that was a separate sheet. For instance, the public library needs to be updated, so that current department could add those things. So the police department, the fire protection, Petersburg schools, it's all listed there, parks and recreation. These things we felt can, some of this can be done in-house.
Well, my question is the updating you're pertaining to for just inventory and what they have, or update in the sense of goals? That's what I'm concerned about, is updating goals. They should have input from the outside people from outside of Service Area 1.
There'll be tremendous input from everyone.
Okay.
For instance, if people choose not to have planning and zoning in their particular area, they may choose not to have it. But they need to be aware that they could get a logging mill next to their home or a fur farm if they choose not to be zoned rural, residential, or industrial, or whatever. And that will be choice of all borough residents, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy, you
I
can
also
clarify
have
this.
some questions. This is Nancy Strand, Donna.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have questions about whether there should be service area formation done before this takes place, because if Service Area 1 is the only service area and they are the ones making the decisions for the entire borough, I don't know, I think Service Area 2 or 3 might want to form so they can make their own decisions about their area, their service area, instead of leaving it all up to Service Area 1.
Well, I guess what I was looking at was Service Area 1, like having, I totally agree with you there, but it's, I was looking at more of the representatives, one for Service Area 1 and another one for the outside of Service Area 1. And then the updates, like I agree, they should be open to both areas.
Right, well, I question how much you want to pursue, how many representatives you have, because one of the representatives on the assembly already lives outside Service Area 1.
Okay.
And if you apply it to one man, one vote, I just think that there needs to be some service area formation considerations taken before you wind up having Service Area 1 being the ones voting on whether something's going to be done in another part.
You're correct, Nancy. Something has to be figured out.
Yeah, so that looks like it's under the winter discussion, our fall discussion. has to be just pertaining, do we want to update a comprehensive plan and improve a comprehensive plan for the Petersburg Borough? And if we do, then there needs to be a creation of an RFP.
Can I
Yes,
make a couple
Dave.
comments? Okay, this is a very involved process,
Yes,
and I'm afraid
extremely
if we start talking about creating new service areas, well, what an RFP does, my understanding, what you want to know today is whether we want to recommend to the council that we do an RFP.
Absolutely.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll make
We
a.
want to update this document.
Yes, I make a motion that we create an RFP, send to the council to update the comprehensive plan.
Second that.
That's the basic motion, but I'll have some additions to that in a second. But I think we should just vote on that first, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of we're giving an overview of the whole process that's going to take a very long and involved time. So there's been a motion that's been made and seconded to create a request for proposal to advertise in updating the comprehensive plan for the Petersburg Borough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Now, Dave.
Okay,
any
I'd like to make another
discussion
motion.
right now?
Okay, any discussion, okay. What I'd like to do is, I'd like to have Leo draft an RFP and have it ready or send it out electronically to us before the next meeting, because we need to get going on this. And all the things that he's talked about doing, econ development plan, harbor and rate study, I think all that'd be great, but what I think he needs to do is to do an RFP with all the wills and with everything in it. But he needs to have it constructed in such a fashion so that it can be broken out by the consultant, so they can give a price estimate. Say if we go with the Volkswagen model, it's going to cost this much. If we go with the Cadillac model, it's going to cost this much. And he needs to be very specific, as I'm sure he can be in the RFP, explaining what we want and don't want. I'm afraid of recommending to the council that if we do a full-on economic development plan, it could be more money than we want to spend. Or we'll get a document that's a half page long and really won't do anything. The other thing I'm concerned about with the Harbor Master Plan and Rate Study, to me that seems like a really big issue that maybe shouldn't necessarily be right in the middle of the comprehensive plan. I mean, the comprehensive plan, at least my understanding of it, is a general document. It's an outline. It's not getting into the specifics. It's not getting into saying, yeah, we're gonna charge everybody $100 a day to park their boat at X and X state dock or something like that. And I'm afraid if we do that, that's going to bog us down and we're not going to ever get the thing done. So I prefer to see in the comprehensive plan an outline without us getting bogged down in the specifics of many controversial and issues that I think there's other committees, there's other groups in town that have more knowledge of these issues that would be better able to do it. So what I would like to see us do, I guess, is just be the funnel from the information from these other people, because we don't have enough time and we're going to be stepping on a lot of toes if we start talking about some of this stuff. I mean, if we can get this from a consultant for a reasonable price, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to do it, you know. I mean, because when you get right down to it, we're just going to make a recommendation and the council gets to decide whether they accept the plan or not. But so I'd like to hear from the harbor board. I'd like to hear from Liz at PDC what her comments is on all this. You know, maybe once we get some numbers back from a consultant, you know, so we know exactly how much this is going to cost. That's kind of my fear of what's going on. And there's not that many people in Southeast or even in the state that could jump in here and do this fast, you know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of, he'll get hits from other people from outside of the state, but you know, we'll just have to be real careful in the process of picking who we're going to have do this study.
I think when Leo comes back to discuss this, I think that's part of his thinking and the borough manager's thinking, is that we have a basic general plan that does need updating, but it does need not, little nitpicky specifics, but more specifics than it originally had to make it a working document and not too general, because if it's too general, it stays on the shelf and collects dust. So as much of a plan that can be general but specific with certain objectives. I think that's generally where we're going and thinking along those lines are apparently in this one, and I was not part of that process. There were pages, the company had just done Haynes comprehensive plan and they forgot to change Haynes to Petersburg. So we want it actually a little more tailored than previous. But you're right, we don't want to spend the moon, not a huge amount, but also make it fairly specific to the new borough. So you had a motion.
No, I was just making some comments.
You were
Could I ask Liz a question?
Sure.
Liz.
Well, I should ask Liz.
Yeah.
Are you up for questioning?
I mean, what's BDC's take on doing an economic development plan?
Well, our last one was 2001, I think, and things that could be done were done, and things that maybe weren't exactly realistic, were left on the shelf. So with the new borough and just, changes in the economy and changes in Petersburg, we would like to see an update. But I don't want another one that half of it is monitor state, federal actions. I don't want to see the word monitor in my plan because that's just a waste of paper and time. So if we can get something that is, a realistic action plan, then, we would be supportive of getting something like that done. And even if it's just a dozen things, I would rather have that than, 100 pages of fluff.
Okay.
So that's where we are.
Can I make
Dave?
a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we direct Leo to contact the Harbor Department, the Harbor Advisory Board, and, pardon?
The Harbor Advisory Board has been contacted, and they're going to review that
Okay.
language, and they'll either say, yeah, this is something we
Okay.
want, or not. So they're going to be contacted already. They've already been contacted.
They've already, and you've been contacted by Leo?
I've been part of all these meetings, so yeah.
Okay,
And
okay,
the
so,
discussion is that it be a little more
right.
based
So
on
no, I just want Leo
This one.
to understand that if this is what, I just want him to do what PDC wants to see in there, and what the Harbor Advisory Board wants to see in there, so we can be as specific as possible to consultant. Because if we give the consultant, tell them, look, this is what we want you to do. We want you to look at every harbor facility in Petersburg. We have a list of them. And under that, you tell the objectives. We want you to look at replacement cost, upkeep cost, tied into a rate study. Then that gives them the ability to, that gives them direction. We're not just wasting our money there. And then if PDC comes up with a list of bullets that we can put in the RFP to get the consultant, say, look, we want you to specifically look at transportation infrastructure in the community. We want you to look at business retention, maybe specifically to the grain of the fleet. If you have specific things in there, you're going to weed out a lot of consultants that don't have any expertise in that area and don't want to deal with that. But you're also going to give them an idea of what we're looking at. And then it will be a document that we won't put on. I've been through this real DOT many times, and if you don't tell the consultant exactly what you want them to dial down to, it'll be a 3-ring binder deal that nobody will ever read, and it won't really have anything in it. But the thing that I don't want us to do is we have to make sure that everybody realizes that this is just, we're not saying this is what's going to happen. This is just an outline, and then, this gives a reference point for the community to say, okay, look, we have an economic development plan. It says this. These are the recommendations. Then those things get discussed by the community, and then they get decided, yeah, we'll do this or we're not going to do this. Just because it's in the comprehensive plan doesn't necessarily mean that
It's going to happen.
it's going to happen. Yeah, and I think that's the thing we have to be clear with people about. Otherwise, I'm afraid we're going to get into a big mess.
I think so. Yes, Liz?
I have a question for Dave.
Okay.
So, I mean, you covered what we could use for the harbor and also for economic development, but then my question to you would be, what is planning and zoning as far as specific things that you'd like to see in there? What would those
Well,
things
that's
be?
what we have to discuss.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we
Are
have
you
to do
gonna
that.
discuss those
Yeah,
things?
no,
Yeah.
oh, I hope we do it right now.
Okay, great.
Okay, yes, there's basically 4 areas that that were identified as being absolutely necessary. And one was the economic development plan, the harbor development plan, affordable and suitable housing, and that one doesn't exactly have a leadership position or place just yet. And then 4 is planning and zoning, land use, of borough land, public discussion, and a subtopic of that would be parks and recreation. So yes, that would be charged to this group.
And we're putting municipal land selection in as part of this too?
I think, is that, okay, municipal
was one
land
of the
selection.
I see it's written, bulleted in here.
Yes. That was discussed. So that would be where we get to think and draw upon the community, people we know, people we don't know, service areas, using online surveys, meetings, that would be planned out by a consultant, I would imagine, how exactly we want to reach our objectives in planning and zoning.
I just have a question on service areas. Now, the creation, service areas are initiated by the area that wants service. So that has to come from them. That's not something that's created by us or the council or. So how can we expect that to happen in time? I don't think we can expect it to happen in time for the comprehensive plan.
I don't know how it works, but I think that people need to start thinking about forming other service areas.
Well, I don't
Or they're
think,
gonna wind up having service area, for instance, if the state decides that this area has to take over those 3 docks, Kupernoff, Papke's, and Hobart Bay, and there's not service areas in those areas, then service area 1 is gonna be deciding it. And they may not wanna spend the money for operation and maintenance where a service area would have been willing to.
And Dave?
Okay, here we're getting into the weeds on
Yeah.
stuff. But what I'd like to say is, this is an interesting subject because when you take a lot of the facilities that are outside of the borough, they're used just as extensively by people in Service Area 1 as they are by people that live outside the borough. Actually, I'd probably say they're probably used more by people that live in Service Area 1 than they are used by people outside the borough. So it's going to be very difficult to say that Petersburg Harbor can only be used by Service Area 1 people, and it's going to be very difficult to say that Papke's Landing can only be used by Service Area 2, which is the people that live around Papke's Landing.
I don't think that's what a
That's
service
not-
area says. What a service area says is, this facility is in our service area, so yes, we're willing to pay for it. Or no, we're not willing to pay for it.
Well, I'm
Yeah, that's an interesting
concept.
But I guess what I'd like to see, if we're going to try and, in the process of the comprehensive plan, we're going to start the process of identifying properties that we want the municipality to select.
There
Is
is
that
a
considered-
committee
There is a
there's
committee,
another
too.
committee that does those specific things,
So
and
then-
land swapping with the state.
So that we're going to
And that-
activate that committee and then have them take part of that process.
Right, but that
Okay.
committee does not come under our jurisdiction. That comes under the boroughs, that's my understanding, the
And-
land selection committee.
will we be duplicating this? If
We are going to make a considerable, I see what you're saying, because that term land use was thrown in there. In what we get to discuss as a commission, what we're charged with discussion is some land use. But we're not going to do land swapping. That's that other committee, and that was my complete understanding with Steve Giesbrecht. Liz?
I was gonna say, I would think that, you know, in my mind, the outcome of the comp plan could be a map with, here are some areas that the public has identified as suitable for selection, or they're interested in selecting as part of the municipal entitlement program. And then the land selection committee could use that information to make recommendations to the borough assembly. So I think the comprehensive planning process would be really useful for that committee, just to gather information from the public on which of those lands would be useful or could be used for something in the future. And Ron, you're on that committee, is that? Sort of
Donna and I are both on that.
Right,
Yeah, I'm on
is
it
that
too.
sort of
And
how you
Dave's
see
on
it
it.
sort of working together, where we could use the information from that process?
My understanding is we don't even know
Share.
what land is available for municipal selection yet. I mean, some of us kind of know a rough outline of where some of that property is from past maps, but we don't have anything definitive from the state yet. And I'm sure by the time we get anything definitive from the state, some of us might pass away. But I'm feeling pretty healthy today.
That's good.
But no, I think it's a good process to start. I just don't want to see us duplicating a lot of work that other committees are going to do, because just doing our part is going to be a pretty big job, let alone doing municipal land selection, an economic development plan, and a harbor master rate and plan study. I mean, those are all big deals. I mean, if you see our job in this process as putting the outline together of all these things, and we're going to get all these other committees and groups to work on this, I'm all for it. But I don't know whether we have the time or the mandate to necessarily do everything here like that. I'm just throwing that out philosophically.
I totally agree, and we are not going to do the whole thing. And those items have all been kind of discussed as being other people's jurisdiction or area, which they will contribute under once a consultant is hired, and there's discussion. You could have different consultants. One person that's an expert in the harbor development, so they work with the harbor development plan committee, and then the economic development person has one consultant, and then we can have hopefully a planning and zoning land use expert to guide us along. It doesn't have to be just one group doing this general thing. Because we have community members too that can update their own sections of the plan, of the comprehensive plan that's already there.
So what you see our job basically is what we're going to do on this committee, at least, is doing the planning and zoning part of it. Okay.
Yes. We're going to leave the other parts to the other experts.
Okay.
Does that sound good to everybody? We're planning and zoning, and
Seems like to me it all overlaps.
it does. But we already have a basic general plan.
Hello?
Hello, Donna. We're here.
I can't tell if I'm there or not.
You're still here. You're still here with us.
Okay, because you guys keep going in and out, and I keep saying I have a question.
Oh, okay. Do you have a question now?
I kind of have a question and a comment. It's pertaining to what Nancy's saying, and it's kind of like it's one of those foggy areas for me for understanding. It's like the service area. When I'm looking at the comprehensive plans, a lot of these things that's in this comprehensive plan, some of them are just affecting Service Area 1. Some of the items affect the borough at large, okay? And so my question is, Are you going to break up the survey for people for Service Area 1 to only make comments on Service Area 1 because they're paying for it? It's like what Nancy was saying. And maybe we need to educate people from the outside area of what a service area is, that give them the possibilities of what that is so they can have some input. I think it's kind of like this new comprehensive plan is still working on the old one, and it's like we have a whole different demographics when I'm looking at it. Making sense?
Absolutely. So when we're looking at planning and zoning and land use, and we're thinking of parks, this is just an example, we may look over at something in Kupernoff as a park, a recreation area, picnic area, or down at Duncan or Keene Island. And so, yeah, this is borough-wide. But
It would be borough-wide, so
Absolutely.
you're not breaking this comprehensive plan up like from borough, Service Area 1, and other stuff, because it's like some of these subjects are different for different areas.
They are, and I would hope a consultant could bring us all together as a borough, because that's the goal. It's not to be broken up into tiny little service areas, but it's a borough plan. And there'll be specifics, just like in the old one, there was a whole sandy beach area.
Correct. That's what I was kind of concerned about.
I guess. Nancy and Liz would have much more expertise on the direction. As first we have to get the request for proposal in, and then we can break it down a little bit more. But I do know that a more specific plan as to goals and objectives is desired than what was previously written.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Not time for a nap.
It is.
Anything you can think of before that you want to discuss? We're really in the beginning stages, this is the kickoff for the comprehensive borough plan. Do we even want to do one?
Oh, yeah, we know we already did motion on that, so we're
Yeah,
good
we
there.
did that, so we're gonna do
okay.
one.
The only thing that I'd like to say is if we're gonna do this, and we wanna get maximum community involvement and maximum involvement from our board, we try and get as much of this done before like April, if possible. I mean, because realistically, you know,
Springtime.
everybody's gone or busy in the summer.
Mhm.
So I'm afraid we're a little late right now, to be honest with you, but it'd be nice
Get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so I guess if we could in the notes reflect that we'd like to ask Leo to go to the next council meeting and talk to the council about have a copy of the RFP that he wants to present, and present that to the council so he can get that on the street as soon as possible, so we can get this process started.
Do you want to make a motion or just a recommendation that?
Well, I'll tell him. I think we better the whole board told him.
I agree.
I mean, do we want to, okay, I'll make a motion.
I can meet with him
Okay.
whenever he's available, tomorrow or the next day. Do you have his
Wednesday,
calendar?
class tomorrow, but he'll be available Wednesday.
Wednesday?
And what's
Do
the
you
next?
want to, are there other members of the board that would
Thursday,
like
then.
to, of the planning commission that would like to meet with Leo this week? And just discuss this and get this going. Wednesday, you have his
No,
calendar?
tomorrow's Wednesday, I meant Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday?
I
But
think
it's only-
maybe today's Monday.
It's only
day's
till noon
Tuesday?
tomorrow, isn't it?
So
Only
the,
till noon tomorrow?
Thursday, what do your calendars look like? We can
about 1 o'clock on Thursday.
1 o'clock on Thursday?
I won't be here.
You won't be here.
I'll
Jim?
be here. I've been through the full circus before, by the way. Everybody on here is.
Everyone has but me.
Yeah.
So is the next council
You were
meeting
on
the
the-
25th?
was
With
it-
last time we went through
Yes.
meeting after meeting after meeting.
Yeah.
25th.
I know I got involved with many of those because Leo was wherever.
Thursday, 1 p.m. with Leo, and kind of hammer out an RFP process.
25th.
And we're hoping, is that the next borough meeting?
Borough Assembly meeting.
25th.
So then you could realistically get that on the street before the 1st, if the borough approves it, and we could, yes, Mr.
Can I say something?
No.
Yes.
You said the next borough meeting is the 25th?
Of
Yes,
November.
18th.
What's that?
The 18th, there's not a quorum available, so they moved it, at the last meeting, they decided to have it on the 25th.
Is that the Thanksgiving week? Is that like the Monday?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Maybe, we will be gone that Monday.
Well, you can do it.
No. Just want to let you know. I think he's taking off, so he won't be here for that meeting. If it is the 25th,
Then,
You won't
Good.
be here either, Liz.
Susan,
If you write down what I need to present, I can present.
I
I'll
will-
need it written
I'll
down
go
in
with
black
you
and white.
if you want.
Okay,
but-
but I want it in black and white.
Okay, but we need to do it
get
sooner than
started.
later, because we wait till the next meeting, then we're not realistically, we're not gonna get anybody hired to even start doing this until February.
And we want to get a move on. I really think with the advent of online surveys that we can expedite this process. Use it all the time in education across the state and take the results and in the school district. They take those email addresses, push out that survey, get the results, then they do the statistic analysis of them, and you have it. It's not like having meeting after meeting after meeting and go to what they say, or how many people do you think, is there a percentage? We have a better data collecting system now. And publicizing the use of that throughout the borough. I mean, come into the library if you're way out there and take your survey and put your input in. We have a beautiful facility to do all kinds of different things. Okay, any other discussion? I know you've been through this before. Good, you can be there to also.
All of us.
All right.
Want to say one thing about
Yes.
the areas outside of Service Area 1, and that is that I think we're going to have to be pretty general. And the reason for that is there are different needs for different areas, and there are a lot of different areas. There's Kupernoff, they've got their own planning and zoning, but then you go across Petersburg Creek, and they don't have planning and zoning, and they have different desires. Down the Narrows, where Dave's place is, it's a state subdivision, and there's no rules. Where we have our summer place, it's Crystal Mountain, and there are rules.
There are rules, but not as many. It might look like that, but there are rules.
Well, what I'm saying is there are different needs for different areas. And it's
That's been part of the discussion, that if areas do not want to be zoned, they don't have to be zoned.
But their CCNRs have to be recognized. Right?
There has to be a what recognized?
At least their CCNRs are recognized, because most of the properties do on Kupernoff area do have CCNRs.
Well,
Covenants.
that's, yeah.
Covenants.
Covenant.
Yeah, I mean, like on the
That's a
property
private.
Right.
that I own in Keene Channel that I've lived on for over 30 years, it does have certain rules, very few, but it does have setbacks. It does have easements. It does have right-of-ways, that were, in existence when we bought that property. So I would assume that all the existing, what did you call them, Donna? That was
CCNR.
CCNRs, like a lot of the properties on Kupernoff do have setbacks, building codes and stuff that do go with their properties, but a lot of people don't abide by them, and even the university ones, I mean, their CCNRs are quite thick what goes with their properties.
Right, I understand, and I mean, so there are, so although Ron's observation is correct, factually it's not correct.
Well, we will have a lot to discuss. And where CCNRs, like you said, covenants fit into the whole part of the plan. And to be recognized and honored, I would think, would be an important part of the next 10 to 15 years. Okay, any other discussion items, or did we thoroughly decide what we could decide this meeting? Is there a motion to adjourn or discuss?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favors?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned, and the next meeting is December 10th.